Hey there. Happy Wednesday. This week, honestly, I legit just kind of wanted to practice something that I feel like has been a hard thing for me to light, and that is a scene where it's nighttime and the scene is being lit by some sort of source like a phone or something, and then they turn off the phone, but then you can still kind of see our character with light, but it still feels like all the lights are off, if that makes sense. So here's the shot that I came up with, and then I'll kind of walk you through how I went about doing it.
I am no magician, I've got no crystal ball.
So overall, I'd say it's pretty decent, and it's definitely better than I've done previously, so I'd say that's a win. But kind of getting started how I went about doing this here. The first thing I set up was kind of what was going to be motivating the entire scene with when the phone was off, which was the kind of outside nighttime light. And I didn't want it necessarily to be moonlight, but I wanted it to be something kind of cooler, maybe like kind of one of those like uplight street lights that you kind of see outside of houses or outside of buildings. And so what I did for that, and I forgot to get BTS of this, so my apologies, but I had an Ambilight Pavo Slim outside kind of pointing up towards my window. I had it set to 5600 Kelvin at 100% and just kind of let that rake across the shades. And there was actually some like beads of rain on the windows, which gave us some nice bokeh in the background. But basically that light there then was going to be kind of the motivating light for when the phone light was turned off. And so that way we could have some sort of ambience in the room, because without any sort of ambience, it would just be pitch black. So we needed something to motivate just like the tiniest bit of light off of, so you could see what's happening in the room once the phone turned off. From there, I added some lights inside that would then carry that light that was outside throughout the room, because just having that one light outside is not going to kind of lift our whole base ambience of the room up enough to be able to see what's going on. So for this, the first light that I set up was a Nova 300C with the barn doors on it, and then I kind of pushed those in until it wasn't spilling on the walls and just kind of hitting right up into the ceiling. And so I had that just laying on the ground and just barn doored it in until it was just hitting above on the ceiling, so that way we got a nice directionalist ambient source kind of in the back of the scene there. And then I actually did also have to kind of flag it off with a towel and put some towels underneath of it to angle it correctly to really not hit anything else but the ceiling straight above it. And that light was also set to 5600 Kelvin at about 50%. The other light that I used to kind of continue that ambience was a 200D in a spotlight mount, just bouncing right into the ceiling right above Maddie's head. And that was kind of to, again, keep carrying that ambience throughout the room. And the reason why I had it bounce right above her head is because I wanted to still get some sort of light and shape on her, but not make it feel like there's a source above her. So this was a little bit of lower percentage. This was at about 30%. And this is also at 5600 Kelvin, just kind of, again, helping to carry that ambience throughout the space. So when the phone turned off, you'd still be able to kind of see what's going on, but hopefully not feel like it's like some sort of, unnatural source. After that, the final light that I added was just to do that kind of phone light gag. And so originally I did try to use the actual phone itself, but because I was ND'd down super far, the amount of light that was needed was not enough coming from the phone. So I had to supplement that with an additional light, and so I ended up using a Aperture MC with a little softbox thing on it, and then I just kind of taped that to the end of a C-stand arm and positioned it just right above that phone there, kind of shooting down at her face, kind of trying to get the similar angle as to where the phone light would be coming from. And then on my phone, during the shot, I just controlled it, moving the slider up and down to kind of make it flash and flicker like she was watching some sort of video. This light here, I did have a different color temperature than all the other lights. This was at kind of like a bluish hue, just to kind of get some color separation and make it feel more like it's like, I don't know, a cooler phone light. And yeah, that was it lighting wise. We can talk a little bit about camera settings, just so you know kind of what I was sitting at there. For the camera, I was shooting on my trusty FX3 2470 setup, like I do all of my videos. For the actual kind of settings of the camera itself, I was shooting this at 12,800, which was not necessary, but it just made kind of setting the ambience easier. And then I did overexpose it by 2 stops and then bring it down 2 stops in the grade to make sure that I was getting a clean image, because when you're lighting things that are dark, it's actually better to light them bright. So I'll kind of show you here what it actually looked like in camera versus what it looks like when I bring it down 2 stops. But I did have a like -2 stop LUT on my camera, so I could see exactly what it was gonna be looking like once I dropped the 2 stops in post. But this is actually what the camera was capturing when I was shooting, and then in Resolve, dragged down 2 stops, and that's how you kind of get that dark but clean look. And then I believe my white balance was set to about 4,000 Kelvin to just make those daylight fixtures feel just a little bit cooler. Overall, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it, but like, everything, there's always things that we can improve on. So there's 2 main things here that I've kind of noticed so far that I would like to improve on. The one is that I would not have her wear a white sweatshirt. It was just kind of too attention grabbing. you know, honestly, this was just a practice, so I wasn't like gonna make her go change her sweatshirt for this. But if I was doing this for a real client thing, I would not have them wear a white sweatshirt because it just kind of draws your attention away from their face. So yeah, wouldn't do that again. The other thing, and this is arguably the more important thing, is that the phone gag light is not coming from fully the right place it should be. And this was actually pointed out to me by my good buddy and fellow cinematographer, James Hargrove. He pointed out that, you know, it's kind of coming from a little bit more sidey than maybe it should be coming from. And this feels more like maybe like a TV light that's kind of off screen somewhere instead of the phone. And so he suggested that next time, you know, maybe use the MC, but like take the phone out of the phone case and put the MC in its place. So it kind of pulls that light more just on the face rather than kind of spilling out throughout the scene. And I thought this was a great idea. And as soon as he said it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes way more sense. So that's also something that I'm definitely going to do the next time that I do this, is kind of make sure that phone light, whatever I'm using for that source, is coming from where the phone is coming from. So it feels like it's more so just kind of pooling on the face rather than spilling all throughout the kind of upper body area. But yeah, I would say this is a really fun practice. I can confidently say that I've definitely gotten better at now lighting this, and I know now going forward kind of the things that I'm going to change and improve on. So I highly encourage you this week to try doing a lighting setup that scares you or you think is hard, because the only way you're going to get better at them is by doing them and then figuring out what you're going to do better next time. So hopefully you got something from this video. Hopefully you found it enjoyable. If not, as always, my apologies, and I'll see you next week. Bye.